Number 2, never show that you know Kung Fu unless it's absolutely necessary. Welcome to my dojo. This is Kung Fu Pizza Party, and I'm your host, Brandon Knight. And today, in honor of the upcoming new Lunar Year, I am here today to review Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, starring Jackie Chan. Yes, folks, this coming Wednesday is the start of a new Lunar Year. Happy Lunar New Year, everybody. It's going to be the year of the snake, specifically the year of the wood snake. I recently learned, I did not know this until very recently, that there are the 12 zodiac animals in the lunar calendar, but there's also an element, one of 5 elements, that also gets attached to each animal as well. So although it's only been 12 years since the last year of the snake, it's been 60 years since the last year of the wood snake. And knowing that snake-style kung fu was a common kung fu style, I set out to find a film that highlighted snake style, and it seemed like the correct answer was to talk about Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, again starring Jackie Chan. And let's get right down into this because, as always, for those of you who are new to the show, here on Kung Fu Pizza Party, I seek to deliver high-flying action in 30 minutes or less and serve up some wisdom one slice at a time, and we haven't a moment to lose. For the modern-day fan of Jackie Chan, Snake in the Eagle's Shadow is probably a film you have not heard of. It should be, though, because this was one of the biggest films in Jackie Chan's career. 1978, when this film came out, was really one of the biggest years in Jackie Chan's career in general. Jackie Chan, we talked about him a little bit back during the Shanghai Noon review with Joshua Knoll about how he started out as a child actor, actually, had some child roles, got into stunt work during the time of the rise of Bruce Lee, and then after Bruce Lee's death, he was positioned as one of the next Bruce Lees during the Bruceploitation era, and had a really hard time gaining tractions. It wasn't until Snake in the Eagle's Shadow that all of that began to change. Because in this movie, Jackie Chan breaks away from the more serious Bruce Lee style film to embracing what we know today. This is the first major Jackie Chan slapstick comedy kung fu movie. It is all the things that you are hoping for in a Jackie Chan film, from the stunts to his facial reactions to just the physical comedy elements that he's become loved for. This was the movie that he shifted into embracing this style of filmmaking. And like I said, 1978 is, in general, a really big year for Jackie Chan, because along with Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, we also have Spiritual Kung Fu, Half a Loaf of Kung Fu, Magnificent Bodyguards, and Drunken Master. This is the same year that Drunken Master comes out. Drunken Master was, of course, not only starring Jackie Chan, but also directed by Yuen Wu-ping, who also directed Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. And along with Jackie Chan, also starring alongside him in both movies, is Yuen Siu-tien. So both movies are crucial to the development of who we know Jackie Chan to be now. Started getting the ground working here in Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, and then by Drunken Master, really coming into form with the slapstick comedy martial art routine. Along with that, both of these movies also formulate what became a new standard martial art movie blueprint. These two movies brought forward a whole new blueprint. Let's see if you're familiar with it. A loser gets beaten up frequently by a bunch of bullies, only to be saved by what appears to be another loser, average Joe person, who actually is a master of the martial arts, becomes that person's disciple and not only becomes a better fighter, but becomes a better person. Does that sound familiar at all? It should, because that's the plot of The Karate Kid as well, which reminds me that next week begins our journey to Karate Kid Legends, where I will be reviewing said original iconic Karate Kid film. This blueprint that originated in Snake and the Eagle's Shadow was further developed in Drunken Master. They both have this same blueprint. So, and honestly, they're not the same movie, but there's a lot of similarities between these two films besides just the director and the actors in both movies. But this blueprint, this new, it's hard to call it a trope because it really is like a story arc, if you will, is something that's going to be reused all throughout the martial art movie genre throughout the 80s particularly, but we still do see it here to this day. It's kind of a spin on the hero's journey, you know, this like narrative structure that gets traced all the way back to ancient Greece. But the twist, I would say, that differs from the hero's journey is the fact that the hero isn't necessarily a loser right off the bat and is like stumbles his way upon his instructor. There are some differences, but it is similar nonetheless. One last thing that this movie and Drunken Master and 1979's The Fearless Hyena also continues to develop within Jackie Chan's kind of typical slapstick comedy routine is the creation of unorthodox kung fu fighting styles. We do not have time to get into the historical fiction and legend that is the kung fu animal styles: snake, mantis, crane, tiger. We don't have time to get into all of that. That is definitely an episode worth talking about. That is definitely a topic worth talking about in a different episode at some point. But I think many of us are familiar with the fact that there are animal fighting styles, and it kind of gets blurry as to how traditional some of these are and, you know, legend behind some of these. But Jackie Chan kind of embraced that like legend aspect in a way and started coming up with these unorthodox fighting styles in his movies. So like here in Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, not only is he doing snake fist, he's also doing cat fist. Drunken Master obviously has drunken style. The Fearless Hyena has emotional kung fu. Like, this is just kind of becomes a thing that, again, if you're more of a recent Jackie Chan fan, you may not know about this part of his career in his like early slapstick phase when he's utilizing all these like made up unorthodox fighting styles that adds to the comedic element. But now let's get into the specifics of Snake and the Eagle's Shadow, because I did give you this like general premise blueprint that gets utilized in several other movies, but let's talk specifics now. So what is this movie about? So there's several plots going throughout this movie, but it opens with Jackie Chan doing a whole snake fist kata routine thing, and then it cuts to the leader of the Eagle Claws fighting style in a fight with a master. I shouldn't say leader, the master of the Eagle Claw style in a fight with the master of the snake fist style. And basically the Eagle Claw guy is going around trying to eliminate all the people who train in snake fist, very specifically snake fist. And that is the plot. That is truly what is going on here. I like to believe, though, that this rivalry actually has more to do with who has the better mustache, because they both have really great mustaches. These two masters in the opening fight sequence, great mustaches. Anyway, so that's kind of the general setup. There is a master of Eagle Claw going around hunting down people who do snake fists to eliminate them. In the meantime, Jackie Chan is essentially the janitor of a kung fu school in a small village. And not only is he the janitor, but he's also the human punching bag for the masters and the students to show off their skill level. There is also another school in this same village, and they're at odds with each other. This is a common trope we see, and actually is something that also happens in real life. These schools are rivals against one another, who has the better kung fu, and actually they're both courting this new student who, he's a little tubby, and the English dub that I was watching picked like the perfect voice for this guy. It was almost like Augustus Gloop in the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka movie. It was phenomenal, like that kind of like that goofy husky kind of voice. Yeah, anyway, so but Jackie Chan is this like human like punching bag that they are pushing around and beating up to show off their kung fu and make themselves feel better about themselves. One day Jackie Chan is out carrying a bunch of sticks, true story, and students from the other school are beating up this old man who is like a homeless guy in the village. So Jackie Chan rushes over to help save the old man, but the old man actually ends up helping Jackie Chan save both of them, because lo and behold, this homeless old guy is a kung fu master. He can actually take care of himself. He was overwhelmed in the moment, but he actually guides Jackie Chan through being able to stop all the other kung fu students beating them up, and they can get away. Eventually, this homeless kung fu master discovers that Jackie Chan is the human punching bag for this kung fu school and decides to teach him kung fu, his kung fu. And you guessed it, it's Snake Fist. He teaches Jackie Chan Snake Fist Kung Fu, and we get like this great it's the late 1970s, but kind of this like 80s style training montage of them doing Jackie Chan having to do all these ridiculous tasks in order to like strengthen his fingers, essentially, to be able to do Snake Fist accurately. Eventually, the rival school where shows up and decimates Jackie Chan's school, and all the students go with the other school. Jackie Chan shows up at the other school with one of the masters to try and fight back for their honor, and reveals the fact in the scuffle with the other school that he knows Snake Fist now. And wouldn't you know it, that's right, that guy from the beginning of the movie, the Eagle Claw guy, catches Jackie Chan using Snake Fist, and through trickery and deceit is able to get Jackie Chan to bring his master, the master of Snake Fist, so that way they can have this big showdown between Jackie Chan and the master, the master of Eagle Claw, and a few of his students who have been just like random side characters throughout the movie, but was like actually his spies keeping track on where are these Snake Fist masters. But before they get to this actual like showdown between the two groups, there is a scene where Jackie Chan is observing his cat, which in the English dub that I was watching, his cat's name is Cat. So his cat he's watching his cat, and Cat kills a snake. And it is from watching Cat kill a snake that Jackie Chan then goes off and he develops Cat Fist, which is kind of this hybrid from Snake Fist that implements elements of fighting like a cat. And yes, this is where a lot of the slapstick comedy comes in. Jackie Chan's making cat noises, hissing, meowing. He's kind of got like the like curled up back thing, the hunchback thing that cats do. Doing like, when a cat like plays with yarn, that's like kind of how he's fighting. It is silly, but it also looks good. It's not like Chris Farley in Beverly Hills Ninja. Like, it actually looks good and looks like it could be effective while also still being very silly. In the end, Jackie Chan and his master, they defeat the Eagle Claw Master and his secret disciples. And the only thing is that his master, Jackie Chan's master, he's not a fan of Cat Fist. He doesn't like the name Cat Fist, and instead suggests that they call Jackie Chan's new kung fu style Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. Roll credits. And I think we can all agree that Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, great name for a kung fu movie. Not a good name for a kung fu style. It's far too wordy. I know Snake in the Eagle's Shadow style. No. Cat Fist, way better. I'm not even a cat person, and I would rather learn Cat Fist than Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. Now, my producer has just stepped in and would like a word with all of you. Go ahead, producer.
Who's this good sing?
Would you like to learn Cat Fist, Cooper? Do you want to fight like a cat?
Meow, 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 meow.
We'll take that as a yes. But even though it is a lousy name for a fighting style, this movie was phenomenal. I loved it. I would absolutely watch this movie again. I would buy a physical copy of it. I loved this movie. And if you're a longtime Jackie Chan fan and you haven't seen this movie because maybe you kind of are a little more familiar with his 90s work or his early 2000s work, I have great news for you, because this movie, and actually several different versions of it, like sub, dub, things like that, are available for free on YouTube, and I linked to the one that I watched in the description of this episode, so that way you can go check it out for yourself. And like I said, this is Jackie Chan at his finest when it comes to the slapstick, kung fu, martial art movie stuff all the way through. You know, I already talked a little bit about how Cat Fist works. The fight sequences throughout this movie in general are really good. It is good kung fu fighting all throughout this movie. I think my favorite fight scene out of all of them, there's so many to pick from, but my favorite is that scene where Jackie Chan first meets his master. He's like trying to save him from the other school who's getting beaten up, but the master, he basically stands behind Jackie Chan and like nudges his arms and legs. He's got a bow staff too. He's just kind of like moving him around. It would be like if Ratatouille was a martial art movie versus a movie about cooking. It was that kind of a thing of like nudging him and he's being able to do all the right fighting maneuvers. But it's just, there's so many great fights. There's so many great scenes of just Jackie Chan being Jackie Chan. One of the best ones that's like the slapstick comedy, physical comedy that, you know, if you're like a longtime Three Stooges fan, you probably would really enjoy as well. As there's a scene where this is after Jackie Chan has started learning Snake Fist. He's starting to have more confidence in himself, and he's washing the floor at the dojo, at the studio where Kung Fu is being taught. He's washing the floor, and the jerk of a master, one of the jerks of the masters, he steps on, there's like this box of white powder. I'm thinking it's supposed to be chalk for like their hands and feet, so that way they have good grip. He steps in this box and is going to walk across this floor Jackie Chan has just cleaned to be a dick. And instead, it's this great sequence that you get to see all of it. There's no like camera trickery angle stuff going on here. You get to see all of it of Jackie Chan. He's got like 2 wash rags and he's maneuvering himself. It's almost like they're playing a game of Twister where he's trying to get the rags underneath the master's feet the entire time, and it just keeps frustrating this jerk master more and more that he's being outwitted by Jackie Chan. It is funny. I think I said this during the Shanghai Noon review. If not, I'm just gonna say it now. Watching older Jackie Chan movies are like getting into a warm bath and just of just relaxation. It's just so, it's like there's something familiar there. And I've talked about before, back in the first episode, how Jackie Chan, that 90s, early 2000s Jackie Chan was a big influence for me to go into the martial arts in general. And actually, I want to talk a little bit about that. I try not to talk too personally about myself here on this show. If you want more personal stuff, go check out my sister's show, My Seminary Life. But there's another line in this movie that was really good. I'm checking the time. We're at the 20-minute mark, so we're doing fine. So we're going to keep going. There was a line right off the bat in that fight scene between the Eagle Claw Master and the Snake Fist Master at the very beginning when they're trying to determine who has the better mustache. Again, headcanon. That's what that fight scene is about. The Eagle Claw guy is saying, hey, I'm going to eliminate all of you. And the Snake Fist guy says, no, there will always be another. They kind of a little bit of like that Star Wars, like there is always hope because there is always another Jedi somewhere, which Dave Filoni has done a great job of making sure that there's always Jedi somewhere, to the point where it's like, where were all you people when it was really bad? Anyway. So that line was really good, and I thought about talking about that more in depth. But instead, I chose this line that I opened the show with, this number 2, don't let anyone know that you know Kung Fu unless it is necessary. I chose that line instead. This is a scene when the Master of Snake Fist is first proposing to Jackie Chan, hey, I will be your master and teach you Snake Fist, but I have a couple rules. And this is there was 3 rules. That was the second one. One of the other ones was don't call me master because we're friends. I forget what the third one is. But that line actually really resonated with me because throughout my life, and there's a bigger story to be told with this that I want to do on a podcast platform at some point. There's a bigger story about how my identity as a martial artist has always been peripheral. There's always been this, like, it's never been Brandon the martial artist, even though I've been in the martial arts for over 20 years, black belts in 4 different martial arts. I do this Ninja Zone thing now. I have a martial art pop culture podcast. And yet, like, for most of my life, Brandon the martial artist wasn't really the way that I was known, and there's reasons behind that. Some of them were chosen for myself, and some of them were put upon me in a way. My identity was rooted in other things that other people basically said were my identity versus the things that were also true about me, like Brandon the martial artist. And although there are some nuanced, like, more mental health related reasons as to why maybe I'm not so forward with the I'm a martial artist thing. And honestly, part of the reason why I'm not forward with the I'm the martial artist thing is because, sometimes that's like that's like something that a dick would do of like, yeah, I'm a martial artist, man. Especially when I get to the part about over 20 years of training and 4 black belts, that just sounds like I'm looking for a fight or looking to be a jerk. But I think there is also wisdom in this idea of don't show your hand about the fact that you're a martial artist until it is necessary. I've had people tell me to my face, really? You're a martial artist? You don't look like one. I don't know what that means. I've been told what I do look like, but I apparently I don't look like a martial artist, and sometimes that rubs me the wrong way. Sometimes I could make a joke about butt scooting Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners here, but I won't because they'll like butt scoot their way to me and then choke me out. But there's I don't want to. There's this weird like I'm okay. Sometimes it hurts, but I'm okay that I do not look like the stereotypical martial artist because in a way that disguises my strength, which from a fight standpoint, from a self-defense standpoint, that can be a good thing. I look like a guy who, no one's going to really think much of, even though I'm very well trained to protect myself and to protect those around me. And I also think there's an exercise in wisdom and humility here by not being so flashy with the fact that, hey, I'm a martial artist, I have this, that, and the other thing, because, wisdom and humility, those are strengths that we don't really value as much anymore. I wish. I'm recording this after Trump has become president, so I think it's safe to say we do not value that as much as we really should. Humility, for sure. But I think there's a strength in wisdom and humility in the fact of just not advertising the fact in a braggadocious way of my experience and my training. And so I know a lot of that was kind of like hodgepodge, rambling kind of stuff. So I'm going to call it to an end there. There's more I want to say about all of that. The point that I'm trying to make here, though, is the fact that, being a martial artist, you don't have to fulfill certain stereotypes. You don't have to look a certain way. You can make the argument about acting a certain way, but there are certain stereotypes that you should not act like, that's for certain. But you don't have to look like a stereotypical depiction of a martial artist. And there is wisdom and there is strength in the wisdom and humility of, I am not going to be forward with this. At the same time, though, I do want to recapture part of this for myself with my identity of who I am, because as I said there at the beginning, it kind of got pushed away, so far away that like even people closest to me really didn't even know that this like long, extensive hobby in my life, this lifestyle in my life of training in the martial arts. But so this is kind of a work of me of kind of trying to see like, how do I bring these two together now to exercise that humility and wisdom of not being so like braggadocious about it, but also like being open and honest when necessary of my identity as a martial artist. And there's more that could be said on that, but we're running out of time here, and I got to get you this episode in 30 minutes or less. So we'll save more thoughts for that in future episodes. But thank you all for listening to today's review of Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. Like I said, great movie. Go to the description and check it out. It's for free on YouTube, so you have no excuse. Go watch it. And again, The Karate Kid is coming out next week. The review, that is, of The Karate Kid comes out next week. Our journey to Karate Kid Legends begins then. And trying to think, what other last-minute things do I need to let you know about? Just in case you missed it, Kung Fu Pizza Party is now on Letterboxd. Letterboxd is a movie review social media platform. And you can follow the show on there. Kung Fu Pizza Prty. Literally, the name of the show was one character too long, so I dropped the A out of party. So it's Kung Fu Pizza Prty on Letterboxd. If you want to find out a little bit ahead of time my reviews and my thoughts on the movies that I'm talking about here on the show, and also make sure you're following the show on Instagram at KungFuPizzaPrty. Party is spelled out with all of the letters because I could have all the letters on Instagram. Kung Fu Pizza Party recently released a reel poking fun. You gotta check this reel out. I'm gonna start getting in on the martial art content creator trends and start making fun of some of the, that's a tappy. But once again, that's it for today's episode. And one last time, happy Lunar New Year to all of you. This has been Kung Fu Pizza Party, where I've delivered high-flying action in 30 minutes or less and served up some wisdom one slice at a time.